It's become one of the most dangerous and most important jobs of the Vietnam War. 1,000 feet above the Mekong Delta of South Vietnam, government soldiers are being flown into the day's battle. A handful of Australian Navy men are piloting the helicopters or flying as gunners. Brian Peck has been flying missions with the 135th Helicopter Assault Company. Here's his report for Weekend Magazine.
46 Australians are almost lost among the American and Thai troops at this huge base called Bearcat, just north-northeast of Saigon. But once you've found him, there's no mistaking the Australian sailor. This is the only Allied unit in Vietnam with full permission to grow beards. And after 8 months, it's beginning to show. They're unique in another way. The Australians are part of the American Army's 135th Helicopter Assault Company, the only fully integrated unit in South Vietnam. The commanding officer is an American major, his executive officer an Australian Navy lieutenant commander, and the maintenance and flying crews are a mixture of Americans and Australians. 150 men work around the clock keeping the slicks, troop-carrying helicopters and supporting gunships in the air. As well as routine maintenance, there are holes to be patched up. For the first 2 months of the year, a chopper was hit almost every day, and just recently, one landed on a Viet Cong booby trap. The blast ripped 74 holes through the body and engine. American and South Vietnamese troops who've been lifted by the 135th have presented the unit with North Vietnamese weapons and a Viet Cong flag. The orders come from the South Vietnamese officers running the next day's operations. For 6 months now, the company has been working with government troops as the ARVN, as they're known, take over an increasing share of the fighting. They drop the soldiers into a jungle clearing or paddy fields, providing a shield of rockets and bullets. It's 5 a.m., 2 hours before takeoff. Maps and call signs must be checked and pre-flight tests completed on the 17 aircraft before breakfast and the start of the day's operations. Lieutenant Max Speedy from Nara is the control and command pilot, the liaison between the ground troops and helicopters. Minutes before the troop carriers fly in, 3 Australian Canberra bombers from No. 2 Squadron at Phan Rang, in military terms, soften up the area with 750 and 500-pound bombs. The strike is coordinated with the helicopter assault, based on intelligence gained by the South Vietnamese. Cobra gunships fire dozens of rockets into the old coconut grove and maintain a hail of fire as the choppers drop into the landing zone. Aboard the command helicopter is the South Vietnamese colonel in charge of the operation and his American advisor. The colonel is keeping in touch with his ground troops as they secure the landing zone, while the advisor is his link to the pilot and all of the helicopters in the flight. This is the most dangerous moment. The landing zone may be mined or laced with booby traps, which can be set off by the soldiers, or even the downbeat of the rotor blades. For minutes, the helicopters are sitting targets for the Viet Cong or North Vietnamese. The mission's a success. The Australian Canberras and the gunships forced the Viet Cong to keep their heads down. Flying helicopters has become one of the most dangerous jobs of the Vietnam War. With better weapons and now years of practice, the Viet Cong and North Vietnamese are scoring direct hits. In one recent period in Vietnam, choppers were going down at the rate of 2 a day, and so far more than 1,100 have been down. But in the last 8 months, only 1 Australian Navy man has been killed and 2 wounded. The bar is open, and for those who are not on duty at 5 in the morning, Miss Nu will keep serving till 10. It takes a few months for the Americans to understand the Australian sense of humour, but that and other difficulties which may arise between men of different services and different countries working side by side are ironed out as they share dangers together. But there is one complaint. The Australian beer runs out first, and then the sailors have to accept the American brew.